brand new Apple Mac Pro and the Cinema Display XDR. Oh yeah, baby! Woo! Oh wow. Oh wow. Apple, you've done it again. Created something awesome that's really expensive. My head hurts. So expensive. Wow. Yep, so I've probably bought about somewhere between 10 and 15 Mac Pros in my 20 odd years of buying Mac Pros. When the new trash can Mac Pro came along back in 2013, I think it was, I just went, you know what, it's tiny, it's expensive, it's not really expandable, I'm out. I was out at that point. It's like, it's too much. Well, what was the last machine? I think the last machine I got was the 6 or an 8 core Power Mac. It cost me like, I don't know, $6,000. It's probably somewhere around there. Still a great machine, still runs well, love them. They all still go. Like I said, I probably bought 15. The G3, remember the old plastic G3s that were green and white plastic, and then there were the G4s, which were grey on grey, and then we got the G5s. Once the G5 came, they were in the big, very heavy, I reckon maybe 20 kilo aluminum casing, and then we moved over to the Intels somewhere in there. Amazing machines. So today announced $5,999 US for the entry level, which means it's $6,000. It probably means it would come in close to $9,000. $9,000 in this country. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money these days for a computer, and that's the entry level one. Now, of course, that's without a screen. Add the screen, which I think was what, $499 plus the stand, so let's call it $5,999. So we're talking $5,900, the same price, $6,000. So that's again about $9,000 for the screen, about $9,000 for the computer. That's $18,000 for an 8-core computer. You'd hope that it was faster than the Imac Pro 8-core or the standard Imac 8-core that's just come out, wouldn't you? You'd hope. Because I can get that for about 4.5 thou, depending on the graphics card. I can get that for about 4.5 thou instead of 18. Bit of a difference. And you'd really want there to be, an obvious difference between the two. I'm not getting the pricing. I get that the chassis is expensive, but you should make the entry-level one different to the other products that you've got. Stick a 10 or a 16 in there, a 12, something, so you can go, well, there's a reason why I should pay 4 times more, almost. No, it is 4 times more. There's a reason why I should pay 4 times more, because it's slightly better. Slightly better, yeah. See how it's slightly better for 4 times more? Very hard to understand. Apple, what are you doing? So anyway, I think it goes up to 28 cores, is that right? 28, 26, 1.5 terabytes of RAM. Sounds like a lot, doesn't it? It's a lot of RAM. 4 terabyte SSD, who cares really? Like a 4 terabyte SSD, I can buy the Samsung for $500 or $600 these days. Apple will probably charge you, $2,000 just for that, because their SSD, again, is somehow 4 times better. What do we do? I've been a Mac guy since the Apple II. I've been an Apple guy since the Apple II, before the Macs existed. This was 1981, I think, and the first Mac came out in 84. I used the Apple IIs, and then eventually I did get a Mac. I think it was in 1994. And that's because I was a kid in 1984. I was 13 years old, so I wasn't going to be spending $5,000 buying one, because I was in high school. It wasn't going to happen. So finally got one when I was about 23, and it was called a Power Power Mac Pro. I think it was called Power Mac Pro 9500. Power Mac Pro 9500. Now that did cost me about $11,000. So here we are, 20 grand to get the entry-level version of this machine. I'm not seeing it. I reckon something's going to have to give. They're insane numbers. But this is what they've done. Now let's talk about the screen. 32 inches. So I had one of those 30-inch cinema displays that came out all those years ago, and I think that cost me about $7,000 when it very first came out, which of course was expensive back then. So I was, I probably had more cash flow when I didn't have a really big mortgage and I didn't have kids. Things are a bit different. You've got to spread your money further. But 6K display, XDR, 10-bit, and it rotates, it looks great, but it's a lot. So people tell me, what do you think about the Mac Pro? I'm sure lots of you don't even get anywhere near Macs, and that's cool. That's cool. Look, it makes sense not to get near a Mac. I mean, let's face it, the software that we have available that's going to use these 8 cores and 12 cores, well, as photographers and video makers who use the Adobe suite, any of you out there that do that, to the best of my understanding, Adobe haven't managed to get beyond 2 cores with Apple. So if you use Premiere or you use Photoshop, 2 cores. The reality is a Mac is completely underutilized. I'm not sure what happens in the PC space. Please tell me, do you get more than 2 cores? Because it's a bit ridiculous, Adobe, that you guys make so much money, so much profit, and you can't get a couple more cores going. But other companies can get a couple more cores going. I think Capture One, I need to double check that. Obviously Apple do. This is the thing, Compressor is a killer piece of software that not only uses the cores, but now they've moved over to using the graphics card, which is even faster, of course. They're way more powerful. So, how many applications actually use this? There's some 3D applications, like I said, Apple's applications, but third-party ones, there's 3D rendering software. There's really obscure things that use multi-processors, but I will check Capture One if it's more than dual processor aware. I'll do a bit of an export. Of course, Aperture, the software that we love, Aperture was absolutely multi-processor aware. So I've had 8 core machines, and the way the activity monitor works on the Mac is it shows you the percentage of each processor that's being used. So if you've got 8 cores and you were using every single clock cycle of each core, it would call it 800%. And I've seen Aperture exporting at like 750%, and it flies. It's amazing. I've not seen anything go that fast, but maybe Capture One. Capture One's, they keep developing it, and I'm sure they keep getting better at it. Maybe they're using the graphics card as well. I need to get a piece of software that shows me if the graphics card's being used. Anyway, I would love to know, what do you think about the Mac Pro? What do you think about the cinema display 32-inch XDR 10-bit flippy? What do you think? Is this the best thing since sliced bread? Do you want one? Do you care? What are you thinking? What's going to happen for you? Tell me. And of course, please share. It makes us all smarter. Please subscribe, because that's great to help the channel grow, and then I can keep going and keep going. And please like. That really helps it get out there amongst the pigeons as fast as possible. The more likes and the more comments and all that sort of stuff. Adding to playlists and sharing and so on. Anyway, it's night time. I'm sure you can tell. I'm driving at night. I'm driving home. And it's winter here in Melbourne now. Winter time. It's cold. It rained for 2 days, which is good. We needed the rain. Thanks for watching. Enough of a weather report. I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Bye.